welcome to Like Pigs in Space, which is a arts and culture discussion podcast. I'm Aaron Mason.
And I'm Max Mason.
All right. And just thought I'd get started with some, catching up. It's been a crazy week, but I went to Toluca outside of Mexico City, and I just got back, but I did get to visit ancient pyramids and also go to the first taco stand to earn a Michelin star. So,
cool.
Yeah,
That's
and
fun.
it was good.
Yeah.
So
It deserved the star.
It deserves. I'd give it 2 if it was my choice, but it deserves at least the 1. And
Cool.
So I was glad to get to go there. And how was your week?
It was good. Pretty hot this week. We had our little heat wave here and got up to like 97 or so.
Woo!
Which probably isn't too crazy for someone in Tucson, but up here it was a lot.
Yeah, well, I understand I missed rainstorms in Tucson this last week, but it was cloudy, overcast, and rainy in Toluca. But they're also they max out at like 80, 85 degrees is raging hot for them. So all year long, that's as hot as. So this was summer, and it was nice. It was going to be nice anyway.
That's
good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yesterday to kind of unwind from all the heat, we went to a place called Lost Lake, which is like right northwest-ish of Mount Hood.
Oh, cool.
It's just like, it's a pretty big lake, but it's still kind of small and very secluded. Like, there's pretty much only one road to it. And,
right.
But it was really fun. You can like camp there, and there was a good amount of people, but it seemed like it had this like pathway kind of around the whole perimeter of the lake. And then people are just got off the path at random points, and you could just like set up your tents and your boats and kayaks and whatnot right on the edge of the lake there, and then go off into it. And it was really fun.
We've been watching a lot of, especially me, true crime things, and the amount of freaky stuff that happens in the forest in Oregon is dominant in the genre. However, most of it is Southern Oregon and Northern California, including the fact of all the Bigfoot stuff through there, which I think personally is probably more drug related, like people growing huge, vast pot farms and defending it more than it is. Yeah. So I think it's more organized crime, and they disguise it as Bigfoot.
Okay.
So anyway.
Yeah.
So I always have a little bit of a, we went down this single road into a place to camp in Oregon, and that it might be a little bit freaky. So, all right. So I was going to talk about something because, and again, trying a different medium that we'll be talking about, and just wanted to introduce some of the history behind this. When I was, again, a lot of stuff started here in Tucson because I was getting to be a teenager, but also because of some of the technology. So we first got a VHS player when we were in Tucson. So when I was a kid, that was the first place. And we'd go down the hill, and there was this one video store that usually had decent enough deals that we could rent the videos. And so we started watching different videos, and that was always fun. But one of the genres that I tended to like, just because it was interesting to me, and because I like music and those kind of things, were videos or movies done by rock bands. And then generally speaking, the ones that I thought were kind of fun because they were so goofy were ones that weren't necessarily about the band. They were just starring in it in some kind of story. And, there's different levels of this. You could talk about like Yellow Submarine was one, and so that one wasn't necessarily about the Beatles. It was just their music, and it was a storyline. And then there's The Point, which
Mm,
is Harry Nilsson's music. And then
okay.
there's a story, and he had done the album as a story as well, and differing songs. And there's a lot of them like that. There's
Mm,
that aren't just concert films, or aren't just films about a made up history of how the band came to be. Because there's a lot of those too. There's a lot like 8 Mile, or
oh yeah.
uh, or Purple Rain, or things like that, where they're more about the artist and kind of a made up story of their struggles.
Hmm.
And so all of those. But so, have you ever watched those kind of movies? Do you know what? Have you seen
Um,
any of those?
I feel like I've seen a few of the like the Beatles ones where not like I've seen like the Hard Day's Night, and but I haven't really seen a ton of them. I don't think like a lot of bands nowadays, or ones I'm more fans of, are really doing that. Last one I can really remember was like the one that the Foo Fighters did, the
Right.
like Studio 666 or whatever it was.
Yeah, exactly.
But
And
other than that, I mean, and then I didn't see that movie, but that's the last one I was
yeah,
really aware of.
you wouldn't have seen that movie. It's a scary movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of fun because they are creative people, and they want to
Mhm.
do something creative. So I think actually, of all the movies, that may be the only other one that fully meshes with the one I'm going to present. But I watched
Mhm.
when I was a kid. There was one called by Herman's Hermits called Mrs. Brown, You've Got a Lovely Daughter. Uh, you
Mhm.
mentioned Hard Day's Night, which all the critiques say it was far better than it should have been.
Yeah.
And it's a particularly good film. Then there is Help, which is
Mhm.
more, it's got some interest. I really liked Help. And but it is still kind of about the Beatles.
Yeah.
And so, probably of all their films, Yellow Submarine is the one that's least about them and more about a story. But and then of course there's all Elvis did tons of movies,
Oh,
and
okay.
as an actor, and he'd always have a song in him. And that was kind of a thing that happened in the 50s especially, is that you'd have these big time musical acts, but they'd act in the film, and then they'd get a number
Yeah.
they'd be able to perform.
Wasn't that happening a lot with like Will Smith too in the 90s and
Yeah,
whatever?
but he wouldn't perform in the film. He'd just get his song on a soundtrack. Whereas Elvis was performing and singing. Like, they'd have a scene where he was
Oh,
singing.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
So same, Frank Sinatra,
yeah.
similar. And so there's kind of I looked it up, and there's tons and tons of films with rock bands in them,
Mhm.
and some of them even have a story. The reason this one stands out is because it's written and directed by the lead singer of the band that did it, and that is probably unique in all of them.
Mm.
There's only a few, and this is probably the one that stands out the most. So the movie I want to cover is called True Stories.
Mm.
And so David Byrne of the Talking Heads wrote and directed the film, and starred in it. So it's really particularly interesting because that's a difficult thing to do, and it was, I think, done pretty well. And it's a pretty funny and well put together film.
Mhm.
So have you seen that movie?
I think I have. It's been a long time. I think there was one scene where was it John Goodman in the movie
Yeah.
where
Yep.
he's like is doing a dating profile or video for himself, and he says he has
Yeah.
like a panda bear physique.
Yeah. Yep. That was a classic line.
Yeah.
So what's interesting and is I knew this film was coming out, of course, because I was a big fan.
Mhm.
And then there was some articles or something about how he came up with the film.
Oh,
So
okay.
so do you know what the National Enquirer is? You ever heard of that?
Yeah, like the newspaper
Yeah. Do you know
magazine.
what? Yeah. Do you know what kind of stories do they do?
I don't know.
Okay. So the big thing there's a lot of them, but National Enquirer is kind of symbolic. We had a bunch of newspapers back then that would tell stories like aliens ate my baby, or
Oh.
Bigfoot's my stepdad, or
Mhm.
just nuts, crazy, crazy stories that are ridiculous, and people who are ridiculous and just outlandish. It's called sometimes it's called yellow journalism, sometimes it's called gossip mags. Not
Mhm.
really gossip, but they or what's the other? Anyway, they're all only tell they tell kind of partial things,
Okay.
and they're not really, they're kind of for entertainment. I think they even have disclaimers on them saying it's for entertainment only.
Yeah.
But what he did is he went through and he had been seeing these papers, and so he based all the backstories of the main characters on the people in these crazy magazines.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, so for instance, there was a story that husband and wife haven't spoken directly to each other in years. They always talk through their children,
Oh.
even in the same room. And another one is, woman hasn't been out of bed in 10 years, and or every single main character was a like a National Enquirer or something like that story.
Mhm.
And that's where he got his characters from. And I was fascinated by that. And so then he places this in the town of Virgil, Texas, which is a made up town
Okay.
during the sesquicentennial of the state of Texas, which is 150 years. So the film was released in 1986, and during the sesquicentennial, and so it's set in this town of Virgil, Texas, and he meets the people in the town as they're getting ready for a kind of a celebration night. Okay.
Okay.
And they're calling it he keeps what I like about it is he's doing it like it's a documentary a little
Mhm.
bit. So I think that this movie in particular might be the precursor to a lot of things like The Office and Parks and
Oh,
Rec,
okay.
in a very interesting way, because he is just walking around and then he's speaking to the camera just
Hmm.
directly, and then he pulls out of that and is having a scene with somebody, but then he'll go back to speaking to the camera, but he's just walking around, and but it's so casual. It's like the fourth wall is never there the whole film.
Mhm.
And so it's really an interesting filming style. Plus, then he does presentations, or he's like reading about facts of a certain situation, and he always does it as if he's reading it for the first time. And so he'll
Oh,
cut,
okay.
yeah, so he'll be like, they want to call it a celebration of specialness. and and then he'll just like, this land was often drier than, like, and it would just cut off like it's at the end of a sentence, and he won't quite catch the whole timbre of the sentence. He'll cut it in half in
Mhm.
his speech as if it's the end of the line. And then
Yeah.
so it's all kinds of quirky.
Mhm.
And then it has Talking Heads music in it, and they released an album called True Stories, and they even released an album called Sounds of True Stories. So it had like the soundtrack album.
Okay.
But he's the one in it, and the bandmates are cameos at times, but
Okay.
not really. But you don't really know that.
Like if
Um,
you didn't know
but
who was in the band, they would just kind of be background characters.
right, right. You can pick them out if you're a big fan, but there's also people that show up in it that are quirky characters from just around,
Mhm.
that you kind of, I think during this there's a one scene where they're doing a song in like a nightclub, but everybody's there. It's like part of the celebration, and everybody's coming up to lip sync to the song.
Oh, okay.
And one of the people that gets up, I think, is Meatloaf, and
Oh.
he does. So
Yeah.
just weird characters show up and just drop in, and they get no fanfare or anything. They're just part of the town. And so kind of the reason to discuss it is what's the value of it? Is it a film that, was it good? Was it bad? You're talking about lately, we've been talking about a few items, especially like last week, where you're like, it's not the best game in the world, but it's a favorite game.
Yeah.
So this is one of those films that I can't. There's some films that are just fantastic films that I can only I watch them once and I never really feel like going back to watch them again. This one yeah, and this one I own, and it sits in it's on my what used to be a Google Drive, but it's now the YouTube. But it just sits there. I purchased it and I watch it regularly because I'll keep going back to it. So there's a few films like that I've watched way more than they seem to deserve. I had one summer where I spent every day watching Princess Bride and Buckaroo Banzai every day because
Every
we
day
were
you watch
stuck.
both?
Yeah, every day we'd watch both because we were in between moving from one house to another in Tempe, but I was stuck way out in Mesa without a car at my uncle's house. And so for like probably 10 days in a row, I watched both of those every single day until I finally had it and went and got my car. And
Yeah.
and then because I was just like, I'm done. I'm a teenager. All these kids here, I got to get out. And I went and stayed at my friend's house until we moved in. So
do you ever end up like confusing the two films? Like, or have you just they're
I don't
distinct
think
enough?
that's possible. Yeah, no, you cannot. There's not any overlap other than that they're funny and they're an ensemble cast. There's no overlap between Princess Bride and Buckaroo Banzai. They're inconflatable.
Yeah. Like a line from Buckaroo Banzai could not be in Princess Bride.
No, well, I'm trying to think. The main piece of advice that's in Buckaroo Banzai that's my favorite, where it could be in Princess Bride, I guess, where he stops and he says, hey, don't be mean. We don't have to be mean. Just remember, wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
So I could see that kind of advice from maybe Fessig. The giant guy could have been very philosophical and said, hey, wherever you go, there you are. I could see that happening, but yeah, so it'd be a difficult crossover confusion. That's worthy of a lot of other discussion too. I mean, Buckaroo Banzai, maybe we'll come back to it because it's one of my favorites, and most people don't know why they've sat through it. So
yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that back to True Stories, the thing that's really interesting is that he does such a good job layering characters, and the thing about that is that, and something I kind of wanted to go and discuss is there's been a few works that take characters from elsewhere and develop a story around them. And I think that's a really interesting thing to do. And so just as a side journey, let's say, one of them that's really particularly interesting is called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead.
Okay.
So Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are very minor characters in Hamlet.
Oh, okay.
And they're guys that are with Hamlet. They're like maybe his, not quite servants, but like attendants or something.
Okay.
And so they do show up. I think they even have lines in Hamlet. Okay.
Yeah.
But that one flips it, and then it shows the whole story of Hamlet in the background.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it's Rosencrantz and Guildenstern interacting, and then every once in a while the Hamlet story pops in the background and interrupts their conversation.
Yeah.
And so that's just, I mean, that's talented. Yeah. And the thing is, it's by It's by Tom Stoppard, and he has done this a few times. The other notable one, and it's a kind of a callback to the Daniel Pinkwater conversation,
Mhm.
is he wrote a play, and let me see if I can find it. Yeah, there it is. It's called Travesties, and so the play Travesties is interesting because what it does is it takes some influential figures, like it takes James Joyce, Tristan Tzara, and Vladimir Lenin,
Oh.
and puts them in a play together. So you've got James Joyce, who's the
Author.
writer, epic writer. You got Tristan Tzara of the Dada, and Lenin.
Yeah.
And what it does, what's really so Rosencrantz and Guildenstern stills, it lifts a few lines from Hamlet, not really using them other than how they are and he might add some lines in between what Rosencrantz and Guildenstern might have said in the play, and then add some lines in between them speaking in Hamlet and conversation, another line they have in Hamlet, so kind of intersperse the conversation. That's talented enough. In Travesties, he uses direct quotes from each of the characters as their dialogue.
Just their entire dialogue.
Yeah, that's what he did. And I even used it at one point. The formula. I had a conversation between Emily Dickinson and Walt Whitman, and I was having a conversation on the. I think he's still around. Is Chris Matthews? And he used to do these very high energy interviews, and they even spoofed him on Saturday Night Live because it's like, all right, next issue, and he's just funny. So I did, for an assignment in class, I did a Chris Matthews interview of Emily Dickinson and Walt Whitman, and I only used their words from their poems and then had him interspersed in there.
Yeah.
So I ripped off a Saturday Night Live skit and the Travesties formula and did a little, but it was fun because you're like digging through, and I didn't have so much computer back then, so it was really me digging through their poems and hopefully finding something that supported what I wanted to say.
It reminds me of the Kendrick album, the To Pimp a Butterfly. It ends with this like mock interview between him and Tupac.
Oh, okay.
And the whole thing is like he found this like semi-obscure interview that Tupac had done, before he died, and he just, Kendrick would ask him questions and use that interview bits and pieces from it to like form this conversation. So like if you didn't know like anything about the two of them, you'd think they were just having an actual conversation.
Do you know what's really funny about that?
Yeah.
Is there was a show called Al TV with Weird Al. That is what he did.
Yeah.
He took video clips of stars and just interspersed the conversation and him asking questions. That's so funny. It's funny to take that in a very disrespectful and hilarious way, and also in a very kind of respectful and probably introspective and poignant way, and use the same technique. And so, that's kind of why there's a bit of brilliance to this script. Again, it's also a testament to the brilliance of David Byrne at the time, and this is again an influence, and probably the excuse for talking about this film is also the fact that right around this time, on Life magazine, and which I don't know, I think it's still around, but it was a big deal back then. If you got the cover of Life magazine, you were kind of somebody influential. And so I had picked up the cover of the Life magazine with David Byrne on the cover, and it had the title of Renaissance Man. And I didn't know at the time what a Renaissance man was, and I'm like, this isn't the Renaissance. What it went on to say is to explain all of the different things that he does and all the different types of crafts and skills and whatnot. and that he did all of these things. And that was, again, another inspiration. So my conscientious rebellion from the wild data ducks layered with wanting to do a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And so it was permission to not feel like I was doing too much to try and do a little bit of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It was permission to say, this is a way of living. You can do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And still accomplish things, I guess. I don't know what it was, but it was just, that was me seeing that, understanding what it is, and wanting to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that I've at least tried to be a Renaissance man as much as I could. And it's always a driving force, like, well, that's a new thing. I don't do this kind of thing, but I'll try it. I'll try. And that's always a fun thing, is I'll hack at anything. Some of it I do good at, some of it I don't, but I think that I can get into anything. But so him doing this film was, again, just another feather in his cap.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that he wrote it and directed it, and the reason it worked, or the reason he was able to have the freedom he got to make the film, was because of the previous film they did, which was the concert film Stop Making Sense.
Right.
Which is widely seen as one of the best concert films of all time, and was even much respected at the time. It got wide theater release. It was a famous director, I think Jonathan Demme is who directed it. It was a very, very, very well done concert film, unlike most that had ever been seen, and was highly acclaimed and made tons of money, and it was very successful. And because of that, they're like, yeah, you can have a little bit more freedom. Yeah. So it was good timing, because not often especially in that era, do you get a lot of freedom to have creativity.
Right.
And especially because it is essentially kind of a surreal film in a sense. It's like Americana meets surreal.
Yeah.
With some really, really good music, and the music was really particularly good. So the character, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I think I really like when, like, whoever they are, like musicians or directors or stuff, get that opportunity to like do the actually creative stuff that they probably want to do.
Right.
Because like I haven't seen any of the movies, but I do know that. Have you heard of Ari Aster? I think is his name.
I've heard, but I don't.
So he directed Hereditary and Midsommar.
Oh,
like two very
okay.
big like modern horror films that are like very well received and respected. And then after that, he might have done something else, but after that he got all this recognition, and then he did the movie Beau is Afraid, which is just super, from what I've heard, is just like super weird, super surreal, like super uncomfortable, and was not very well received. But I think it was like, well, if I'm going to be able to do whatever I want without, intervention from executives or whatever, then this is what I want to do.
Right. And it's neat when they get the opportunity. I saw another, it's funny the timing when we have these conversations, but I see these little quotes, but there was one that came up about the film The Elephant Man, which was, so do you know who David Lynch is?
Yeah.
Okay, so he did, a lot of stuff, a lot of films, but they're all kind of weird, right? Like, I keep thinking of the Psych episode.
He did Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks, not Twin Pines. Yeah, Twin Peaks. So Twin Peaks is kooky, and it's got weird stuff in it. But he directed Elephant Man, and it's got some weird scenes in it. And when they went to screen it for the studio's like, oh, this is weird stuff, we want to take you out. But what was interesting is Mel Brooks, the comedian guy, the Goofy films, he was the one producing that film.
Oh, okay.
And which was I was like, really? So he was producing it, and they took it in, and the studio's like, oh, we want this and this, you got to change this. And he goes to him and goes, you misunderstand the purpose of this. This is to let you know that where we're at making the film. This isn't for you to have any input.
Yeah.
All of it's going to stay as it is. So, you know,
Yeah.
and he had enough clout. And so that's the neat thing is sometimes you get these golden opportunities for the weird people to have some say because they have enough clout at the time, or they have a friend that has enough clout to kind of defend them.
Yeah.
And so this one, you know, obviously it's not something, I mean, anybody that listens to this other than our family probably doesn't know about this film most often
Hmm.
because it kind of came and went. But when I was reading the reviews, they're like, yeah, it wasn't a commercial success. It probably wasn't meant to be, but it's gained a lot of. But at the time, the leading movie reviewers, which was the Siskel and Ebert, but Roger Ebert gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars,
Oh yeah. So
which
pretty
is
good.
huge. Yeah, it's huge from him. So he saw the value in it immediately, and it turned into a cult classic, which is always fun.
Yeah.
And you know, I tend to like the cult classic type of thing. So just to kind of go through the film, is it really is set up like walking around the town, looking at people's lives, these little vignettes of who they are, and then it tells the little stories like John Goodman is kind of one of the main guys that
Mhm.
they're talking about. He's Lewis, I think it's Lewis Fine, and he's trying to find love.
Okay.
You know, is kind of he's a big lonely guy. Everybody works, or most of the main characters work at a place called Vericorp, which is a
Hmm.
uh, board manufacturer, like computer boards.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a fake Texas Instruments, is what they're doing. It even mentions the guy that invented the silicone board for Texas Instruments as part of the kind of. So there's
Okay.
this weird thing of real history and fake stuff. So one of them, so Lewis is trying to find love and trying to find somebody who's genuine, and throughout it shows him on these dates with different ladies. One of them, the lady has tons of kids already, and another one, the lady does yoga, and he's a big inflexible guy. One of them, there's a lady that her character is she can't tell the truth, and so every time she's in the scene, she's like, you know, I spent a whole summer in the jungle with the real Rambo. And he goes, you know, he wanted to marry me, but, and especially since I saved his life about 50 times. And, you know, just like this crazy, you know, you didn't. And so he even
Yeah.
has a date with her, and he's just like, no. And then there's another lady who won't let anything negative around her. She just sees the
Mhm.
world as happiness. And he's kind of a melancholy, sad guy. He likes country music and he likes the sadness of it.
Mhm.
Um, and and so they're incompatible. And so it's just interesting the process he goes through and the different things. He does the dating thing. He goes to a mystic who does a really cool song and tells him he'll find love, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Um, so there's the lady that can't tell the truth. There's a lady that's only happy. There's a lady that has stayed in bed for years. There's the couple that speaks to each other through their kids.
Mhm.
There's and then there's a guy that claims to have radio transmissions. And he can read your auras, and he'll put his
Oh.
hand on your ear and your nose, and then you hear these like radio sounds, and then he'll go, "Oh man, it's gonna be okay, man." And he's and what I just saw, so the song's called Radiohead,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so that's the song that Radiohead got their name from.
Yeah.
So it's just great. I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that connection, but that's the song.
Did the
And
movie come out before the album did, or was it around the same time?
yeah, so I don't know when do you think Radiohead
Oh, I
first
mean I
album
mean, like,
is?
the Talking
Yeah,
Heads. Oh, Radiohead's first one, I think, was, like, 90. It was either 1991 or 94.
yeah. So yeah, it said they formed right around when this they said they formed in 85, but they didn't really come to anything until I don't know 91. So I think they were still looking for the name
Mhm.
when they came out with the first album. But yeah,
Yeah.
song came out. It's in the film.
Okay. But like, did the film itself come out before like the Talking Heads album for the film, or was it the same
I
time?
think they came out at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah. So 86, 85, 86 would have
Okay.
been. Isn't that funny though? I was
Yeah.
like, that's a really interesting tie-in, which is, shows the influence of Talking Heads too,
Yeah.
It's, so at the time they've always been quirky and influential. So that's a neat thing. But so it goes through and it kind of shows this town in Texas, and then they're building the stage throughout the film. Every once in a while you go back and see the progress. It shows them walking through a mall, has all this philosophy in it about what the mall means to America, or what driving means as he's
Mhm.
driving around, and so it really has a lot of heart to it,
Mhm.
because it does do kind of a rundown of what it is, what's important of a typical American life, but
Yeah.
also kind of the quirky side of it. And so this deep philosophy, but also followed directly after by something humorous. Like they have he's talking about malls, and then they go to a fashion show that they're having for the celebration in the mall, and it's
Mhm.
just quirky, like kids in suits and business clothes, but they're like checking their watch and they've got briefcases, and then people come out in suits that are like a brick wall or stone, that is what they look like, or they're fur, like green fur, or
Okay.
grass, like all
Yeah.
these different things. And then these ladies come out with these big huge head dresses, hats, and so they're doing that. And then it ends because one of the ladies with a really huge thing, the one that can only see happiness,
Mhm.
she is spinning around. All of a sudden she falls off the stage because the head head crashes. Oh honey,
Yeah.
and but also the songs are really really good, because the lady's just sitting there presenting but it's the wife of the couple where they don't talk directly to each other.
Mhm.
I think he's also the mayor,
Okay.
and she sings one of the songs, and it's kind of really touching and really appropriate. But then
Yeah.
it's just that really good mix of poignant and kooky and funny and poignant, and and it
Yeah.
just keeps going. So and there's just so many scenes. There's so many. I'd sit here and explain. There's a scene where there's a couple walking through a field together, and the guy's like, "I feel weird. It's my tummy. I feel like I have butterflies in my tummy." And they're just a couple walking through the field,
Mhm.
and then at the end, he's like, they're hugging, and he's like, "Oh," and she goes, "Did you fart?" And then it cuts.
Yeah.
And you're like, that's brilliant and hilarious and just so dumb and just so good, but
Yeah.
so. And then so the mayor is played by the husband in that group is played by um Spalding Gray, who is
Mhm.
he's kind of an avant-garde comedian type of thing. He has
Okay.
this really weird way of talking. And so they're having a big town, like a big part of the celebration where he's presenting, when they finally go to the final performance on the stage and people are doing their songs. And he's like, "So I'm going to tell you a story." And he's like, "So God was making the world and making all these rivers and beautiful places, and 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 then he got to Texas and he'd forgotten to do all these things, and it was hard and it dried out, and so he says," and he's like moving his hands like he's talking. He's like, he goes, in his infinite wisdom, he goes, "I know what I'll do. I'll make people who like it this way." It's like it's just so quirky, and there's many quotable lines, and that's one of them that kind of runs in the back of my head.
Yeah.
And then it's really cool when Lewis gets up to do his song. It's kind of a country song. It's called "People Like Us," and
Mhm.
the it's poignant because it has the line, um, "People like us who will answer the telephone," and it's like
Mm.
just no, he's just looking for people who are normal, who just do normal things, who want to be loved. That's kind of his thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, again, touching, poignant, and kind of kooky. But there's so many little. The whole thing is just vignettes
Yeah.
of interactions with different characters, and I think it's kind of brilliant in that way. And there's a great bit where these kids they all look like they have T-shirts made like 4-H T-shirts or something, and
Mhm.
they've got pieces of junk and they're playing percussion, and they sing this hey now, hey now, hey now, and then they just doing this song,
Mhm.
and then one of them starts, I am the king of the world, the boss of the boys and girls, and just this quirky, like, and then it just goes away and you're like, well, that was weird. Like, they were just
Yeah.
talking about building homes, and then these kids walk through, and then and I think there's quite a bit of brilliance in the movie and the little vignettes, and that episodic but cohesive. I mean, it all works together. There's a reason for all the different little bits and pieces,
Yeah.
which are disjointed but connected, and that, I think, it kind of speaks to the brilliance of the filmmaker, being David Byrne.
Yeah.
So I think that it is, of course, more on the artistic side, this
Mhm.
film, but it also, just that fact that the fourth wall doesn't exist in it is a very unique style,
Yeah.
um, that you're not you feel like you're a part of the town.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
so I think it does. I'd be interested to know if the folks from The Office and some of these newer ones, if they drew inspiration from this, because it's very much different than what was the style back then in
Yeah.
the mid '80s. So
Yeah. I wonder like what they look to as like the first like mockumentary kind of thing.
yeah, I
Um.
mean, Spinal Tap came out around this. Was another one
Oh,
that was
okay.
the mockumentary. So there is that whole series. I mean, there's tons of them. There's that by the same. There's Spinal Tap. There's Best in Show. There's those are
Mhm.
ones that are kind of by that same group of folks,
Mhm.
that's also kind of that way, that mockumentary. But the being a part of it, there's the mockumentary, but this one, like, you're like in those the newer ones that are kind of the mockumentary, you're kind of feel like you're in their group,
Yeah.
like you're another part of it. They're speaking to you too, and so that's what this. You always felt like
Mhm.
he was, most of the film, he's talking to you, and like you're in the car with him or walking with him, and it's really fascinating
Mhm.
how well it was done seamlessly. It
Yeah.
just seemed like.
Did he talk any more about like where he got that kind of idea aside from the National Enquirer stories? Do you think the rest of it just kind of is just how
Yeah,
he
not
thought would be the best way to present it, or?
Yeah, I'm sure there's some. Yeah, I think that's just how his mind works. And if so they all came from the. I think it's the Art Institute. What is it? The all of the group were in, and it's funny that it's in Texas. So it really takes you outside of
Mhm.
their history, because Talking Heads are from. Well, it says they formed in New York City,
Okay.
and so but they were all in. I think they were in Rhode Island School of Design
Okay. Yeah.
is where many of them met, and so then they moved to New York, became the Talking Heads. And what's funny is that they're in the punk scene,
Mhm.
so the they're more punk because of their approach than they are necessarily the music, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just an interesting, they're an interesting and fascinating band just because of that, and to take that and get so so completely successful,
Yeah.
though they are quirky.
Right.
So
That's cool. I've
I,
always liked
I
like kind of learning about some of the other approaches or shoot offs from punk music.
yeah,
Because I it seems like it's pretty easy to follow like punk to like emo to pop punk and all that. But I
yeah,
was listening recently to like electro punk and kind of how that developed.
yeah,
Um, with like the main band that I think a lot of people talk about is they're called Suicide.
yeah,
Um, and their first album is like it is a very punk album, but it's just all synthesizers and drum machines, and
oh yeah,
it's kind of very minimalistic. And I don't think, much like a lot of punk bands, that probably didn't know their instruments that well,
yeah,
and it was more just about the intensity of it.
yeah, yeah. I agree, and that's the interesting thing in saying that they're part of the punk scene is that they really elevated the style. It's kind of like there's different levels of punk too. There's the 3 chord speed demon screaming, which is
Yeah.
much needed, much enjoyed. But then there's, okay, you would have to say the Clash is a punk group, but they have obvious
Right.
influences, and the Talking Heads are in the punk scene. They have the DIY ethic, but they have complicated songs,
Mm-hmm.
and which is really hilarious because their bass player is Tina Weymouth, was the wife of one of them, and she's not a bass player. She didn't really even play instruments. She just picked it up to play in the
Oh
band.
yeah.
Yeah, and then, but to take it and just develop these very complicated and if you see Stop Making Sense, it's just a lot of really interesting tunes and interesting
Yeah.
approaches and interesting songs, and that translates into, the film. The true stories didn't come out of nothing, right?
Yeah.
You could see the influences, you could see the creativity already. And I mean, I was just excited to see this coming out, and it was fascinating, the source of
Mm-hmm.
the story, and it's an accomplishment, I think. And it's a pretty film too. It's very well, it's well done. It's got good colors, and there's a lot to be said about it. It looks well produced. It what's really funny is, like, when he's driving the car, he has the same red Chrysler convertible.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's a shot from obviously a trailing vehicle of him driving. Sometimes it's completely staged, like the scenery's moving around him.
Okay.
Sometimes it looks like he's driving, but he's on a trailer because he's looking around, but it's real scenery going by.
Mm.
And sometimes, like, the camera's placed on the windshield, and you're just seeing the hood ornament as he's pulling into a spot. And
Oh
so there's not a consistent way that he's interacting with the car.
yeah.
And I think that speaks to, I don't even know, it's just fascinating because it changes every time. There's not a consistent way the car is used. There's not a consistent way a scene is set up.
Mm-hmm.
And there's differing degrees, like from the lip syncing of the one song to another one of their songs is a music video playing on a TV, to
Oh.
other people, which is them, the band, performing. And then another one is like the big final concert.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a lip sync activity, you have a music video,
Mm-hmm.
you have characters like the kids or the medicine man singing songs that they've written for, that are context of the scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the concert where individual characters that have been through the film are performing the songs to an audience. So there's reason for it,
Yeah.
And so most of them, there's not a indistinct source of the music other than the few where there's characters doing it. But
Hmm.
even then, it's like there's always a reason for the music to be playing,
Yeah.
uh, which is unusual sometimes. And like in a musical, just music comes up from somewhere, and then and then
Yeah.
people are singing. And this one, there's you can see the people who are singing. You can kind of get a gist of where the music's coming from,
Mhm.
and so there is a reason for and a source that is within the world for every piece of music that's playing in the film, which is really,
Mm.
I mean, when you think about it, is kind of fascinating because that's not how it always is.
Right. Yeah.
So,
So it doesn't have to, like with a lot of movies, there's like that suspension of disbelief where it's just like,
right,
music is playing because it just, well, makes things feel better right now. I think I
right, right.
I think I saw something of like someone was complaining about the coloring in one of the Lord of the Rings movies where it was like really blue lighting, and it's like,
Yeah.
and someone was like, well, where's all that light coming from? And it's like same place as the music. Like it's just kind of
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. In fact, in one of the scenes in the car, he's driving along. He's like, "Oh, the reception's great out here," and he turns the radio up, like, and then
Yeah.
the music builds. So, like, it's just it's I think what makes the film is that it's completely self-aware,
Mm. Yeah.
and that's just a fascinating way to approach a film of this nature. So yeah, so it's very influential. The individual was influential, but the film, I've loved it since I first, and I really wanted to see it. Like it came out in theaters, but it was like for a week
Oh,
when I
yeah.
was in high school, and so we're gonna go see it, and then it fell apart. And so it wasn't for quite a while that I had to wait until to get the video and watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple years later, which is was kind of crazy.
Agony.
Yeah, agony. But I do remember distinctly in the house we lived in Tucson that I had rented Stop Making Sense, and
Mm.
I was already sold on who they were,
Yeah.
especially the big suit and all that kind of stuff, and the pure physicality. I mean, you've got to watch.
Yeah.
Have you watched that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the fact of him, this nerdy kind of musician guy, but he's running around the stage for, I mean, it's got to be almost 2 hours of him running and just nonstop. And
Yeah.
that's impressive, but he's not just a guy who can jog. he can, he can make a film too.
Yeah.
So
Have you seen? I know it got like recently remastered and the Stop Making Sense.
yeah, I haven't seen the remaster. I was playing here at the loft, but I didn't go see it because I forgot to go.
Yeah.
I wanted to, but yeah. So what do you think? Was that with that approach?
Yeah.
Do you think we covered it?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's I'm trying to think of like people who like I am like whatever you're gonna do, I'm here for it, and I just want to see what all you're doing.
yeah,
I can't think of many that aren't like staying in their kind of their field already.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
where it's like I want to see everything that like 21 Pilots is doing. But they're still mostly just sticking to the music thing.
Right,
And they did that
right.
live stream concert thing that was really cool. Um,
Yeah.
during the lockdown and everything. But that was more just like still just like a music video.
Right. And that's why I like, so David Byrne, does the music, but helps with, was helping design the look of things. Like
Hmm.
their videos, even up to that point, were about what they wanted, their design. I think that's why I am still such a fan of the Chili Peppers,
Hmm.
is because their videos show that they have an appreciation for different art styles,
Yeah.
especially the ones on Californication. They hit so many genres in their videos, and it was timed when I was taking a film class anyway.
Hmm.
And so the video for, I think it's The Other Side, is
Yeah.
directly based on a film I was watching in the show that's from like
Oh,
a German film from like the 20s or 30s,
right.
and it's obviously an homage to that film. it's obviously based on that. So,
Yeah. I think of like
and yeah,
their Can't Stop music video too is like
yeah,
all done by
that's
this
my,
artist, this very famous
yeah.
artist. I forget, I don't know who.
Yeah. Yeah, and that appreciation and promoting of those art things is great. The difference is that David Byrne is doing all of it. Like he went
Yeah.
from there to he did Broadway, he helped choreograph dance for another show. He did these visual kind of music visual presentations with different artists that did those multi genre presentations, shows,
Yeah.
installments. He sings with people. He writes on albums. He, still writes books, all those kind of things, and just doing anything he can to be creative.
Right.
And even showing up on the Saturday Night Live 50th with some random new artist and
Mhm.
just did not look out of place.
Yeah.
That's the thing is he's comfortable wherever, and I've seen interviews with him on the talk shows, and he's kooky but
Mhm.
comfortable and
Yeah.
exactly who he is. There's no difference. He's always who he is. So
Yeah.
that was I like that. I think it's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I think that's something I'm starting to see more with Kendrick Lamar now
yeah,
too. Is ever since he's gone into his own label and production company that he started
perfect.
himself,
Yeah,
and ever since then, especially this like with the GNX album and the whole like fight with Drake and the Super Bowl show is like very much this like new aesthetic that I think is he's
yeah,
completely in control of and
yeah,
very intentional.
and that's great. I love it when artists do that. Is when they are I just like that self-awareness of being able to recognize I guess when somebody can do a lot of things
Mm.
and not have a lot of drama.
Yeah.
Because like I still think that Kendrick has a pretty stable personal life,
Yeah.
right? He may be playing like he may have that beef, but I don't think it was ruining his life.
No. Yeah.
And so there's different actors that they just do stuff and it's not a big deal, and 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 musicians too who they just continue to exist, they continue to be cool, and it's because there's a sense that they are aware of who they are
Right.
in a very real way, and they don't have to do crazy stuff to validate themselves.
Mm.
And I really like that. I'm always fascinated by people like one of them's like John Hamm, who
Oh yeah.
yeah he does Mad Men and he's very serious, but then he does these goofy things. I mean he's always up for a joke
Yeah.
too. Like he's on 30 Rock or this or other things, and seems very comfortable with who he is, and doesn't have to prove anything. And so
Mm.
seeing these, like, you never hear any drama. There's never a bad story about David Byrne,
Yeah.
and him and others like that. And I really feel also that like David Byrne and Pinkwater are kind of in the same world where they are, they kind of are their own quirky thing. And
Mm.
it doesn't really matter if anybody knows about them. That wasn't the point. It
Yeah.
was just they're just expressing themselves. Some people happen to like it. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's cool.
anyway, that's how all where we're at for this one, and I just wanted to share. I thought that was a good film. Encourage anybody, if anybody ever listens to this, hopefully they'll go watch it.
I think people listening to it, I've seen
Oh, good.
the slow numbers so far.
Yeah, that's
It's
good.
fun.
That's good. We'll get there. That's not why we're doing this, but
Mhm.
it is. I do like to share with people, and hopefully it means something to somebody else too. Because it means something to me. So
Yeah. Awesome.
well, good. All right. Well, any parting words or
No.
okay?
I don't think so. I think that's
All
all I
right.
have to say.
Well, I guess it's time to go eat dinner then.
Yeah. Guess I'll have to check out the movie again.
Yeah. All right. Good deal. Well, thanks for your time, Max. I've enjoyed it as
Yeah.
always, and I'm thanks for all the work in getting this put together each week. So
Yeah, sure thing. It's been a lot of fun.
I look forward to the next conversation, and I have my next topic. I just wanted to prepare for it better, and I wanted to. It's going to be literature related, so I was trying to put a spacer in between. So.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So, but I do have a good one next time. So, but
Yeah.
thanks for the conversation.
Yeah, thanks. Talk to you later then.
All right. See ya.
See ya.